During the winter, I wear a few layers of socks. The first layer are thin store-bought socks. The second layer are hand knit socks on my standard gauge machine. And the third layer are bulky socks that I knit on my bulky gauge machine. But sometimes this is still not enough, and I'm still cold. So today we're going to make the ultimate sock. Normally I would tell you to only use sock yarn to make socks because socks take a lot of wear when they're rubbing on the inside of your shoes and you're walking on them all day. And sock yarn is a special blend meant to stand up to all of that wear. But I'm not planning to do much walking in these socks, so I'm working with loops and threads, soft classic in charcoal and sage on my bulky machine. All right, let's do some measuring. For the foot of the sock, I'm gonna be like let's call that about 3 feet because it'll be like kind of curled up. And then I want to add a ribbed cuff to this. So I'm going to modify my pattern a little bit, and let's also call that 3 feet. So there's room for it to like fold over and be comfortable. I think I'm going to do a contrasting heel and toe. So the body of the sock will be the sage, and then the heel and the toe and the cuff will be this color. All right, let's do some knitting. I'm working with my double bed sock pattern. That means I'm going to knit the foot in the round on this machine, but I want to do ribbing for the cuff, so that it needs to be knit flat. And because this is so big, I have to knit it in 2 sections. And I've already knit the first section and taken it off on waste yarn. I'm going to rehang this later when it goes into the rest of the foot. But I decided I wanted to do 2x2 ribbing, so let me get cast on for the second half of the cuff. I've already cast on to waste yarn. And for this particular cast on, we have to deal with racking. So let me make sure all my needles are correct first. Okay, we go off to the left 3 half steps. And then main yarn comes in. Then let me get my carriage settings correct. And I apologize that this is all off camera because I can't get the camera far enough away to get it all on camera. 1 row at tension 0. All right, all of the needles have picked up yarn, and then I go to tension 1 on both carriages, circular knitting, 1 row, 2 rows. And then we go back over 3 half steps, and we're ready to start knitting. So both carriages go to their final tension, cancel the circular knitting, reset the row counter. And then I knit 200 rows. And that's a little more than 1 skein of yarn. Why are you unhappy? First row's a little tricky. All right, 200 rows of this, and I'll be back. That is 200 rows, and it's almost exactly, both halves of the cuff are almost exactly 3 skeins. This is all that's left. This will probably wind up being for sewing stuff up later. Okay, it's time to knit the rest of the sock, but first we have to get set up for that. So this section that I knit earlier is going to go on the top bed. So all of this needs to get transferred to the bottom bed so that we wind up with enough stitches everywhere. I'm covering the bottom bed so that the other section of knitting doesn't get stuck in any of these hooks. And then all of this goes back on. All right, we're set up for circular knitting. It's time to knit the rest of the sock. Let me get the carriage threaded. I hope I have enough weight. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah, we're good. Okay. What are you doing? You should not be doing anything. Okay. No. No, no. No, 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 no. Why are you like this? You should be fine. Ugh. Oh shit. That's not supposed to happen. It's the bottom bit that's having issues. Okay, let me sort this out. I'll be back. This carriage has far too much resistance on it, and it's causing problems elsewhere. Okay, here's what I think happened. So work on the top bed is a little bulky because it's got this extra layer of waste yarn back there, and I think it was keeping these loops from pulling up a little bit, because you can see the problem from this that got transferred down, and that was what was making things impossible to knit. So it should be better now that I've knit a row, but let's see. Oh, it's still way off the mark. Okay, that's better. Let's try to knit now. Okay. Oh. Man. All right, we're in better shape. Things should get better from here. It's still going to be a pain to manage the weights as we go because this fabric is so thick, but I think I've got a solution. Let's see how this goes. I need to knit 30 rows and then we'll start shaping the heel. Here we are, 30 rows later. Didn't get any easier. This sock is gonna be a real workout. Okay, it's time to do short rows for the heel, which means I need to change the sinker plate, which you can't see because it's off screen. But this comes down, one click. This comes off, this goes on. Time to short row the heel, and I'm doing that in charcoal. Here we go. The heel is knit, and I know it doesn't look like much from here. Let me see if I can show you the back. So here's the front. We have a bunch of ribbing, and then we have the first bit of the sage section. And then here's the back. Here's more ribbing, and then the sage section, and then we go right into the heel. And it looks funky because it's all stretched out, but the short rows create this trapezoid pocket here, and that's the heel of the sock. And now I have to completely reconfigure all of the weights to make sure that this gets pulled down in the correct way. And also, this project drew blood. I don't know what it got caught on, but something. So I'll have to keep an eye out for blood on this project now. Don't worry, I'm washing it. And also it's for me, so it's not going to impact anybody. All right, back to knitting. All right, I'm done with the body of the sock. And I'm out of breath and I'm sweaty despite the fact that it is only 60 degrees in here. So this was a lot more work than I thought it would be. Part of it is the thickness of the yarn and all of the things that I've got going on here. I did a few things to make this a little easier. First, I raised my chair up so it was like over the machine. Second, I stopped midway and oiled the carriages just to make sure that there wasn't anything like adding additional friction. And it wasn't just the latches and levers, it was also all of the parts that came in contact with the machine to make sure that it wasn't causing any problems. We're done. It's time to shape the toe now. And like you'll see in the time-lapse footage, I had to brace my whole body against the stand. I like wrapped my legs around the legs of my machine stand and then like pulled the carriage with me and held the stand still. And that was the only way to finish some of these rows. Oh my God. People think that knitting is like an easy, chill hobby when it's really like a full body workout. And even then I had to like stop every 10 rows and take a breath and then go again because it was 180 total. All right, I'm gonna shape the toe now, switching back to the charcoal. We're almost done here, and then I gotta sew up the cuff, but we'll get to that. It's done, and you can't even tell what it is when I fold it up on the machine. So let's see if we can look at the whole thing. Okay. Oh, okay, yeah, it's stuck on stuff. Okay, here's the cuff in 2 sections, and the red stuff is the cast on edge. And then we have the heel, and then the foot, and then the toe. Can you tell what this is? I love knitting big, ridiculous things on the machine. Okay, so order of operations for here. I'm going to kisser stitch the toe closed so we have a nice seamless finish, and then there are a bunch of ends to weave in because I went with the contrasting toe and heel. And then I need to seam up the sides, and then this sock will be ready to wear for certain values of wear. Here is my sock washed and blocked, and I steamed the cuff a little bit to get it to relax. I'm really thrilled with this, despite how hard it was to knit because I had so much on the machine. I think it was absolutely worth it. Let me put it on. This is what I love about machine knitting. You can make ridiculous things that you would never make by hand because it would take too long. But on the machine, while it still does take a while, it doesn't take nearly as long. And then, like, fold the cuff down to where it's at a comfortable position. And look at that. Hold on. It's a giant sock. I will absolutely be sleeping in this. While I was sorting out the pattern for this, I just kept expanding the circumference of the foot until it took up the entire bed. And conveniently, that meant with the length of the foot, it was fairly proportional to an average sock that I would make for a human. So just keep that in mind if you're making one of these. And this was my double bed sock pattern. This same concept should work with the single bed sock pattern, but you may want to make it in two sections, like the top of the foot and then the bottom of the foot, and then join them on the sides. Though if you're making this for a child, single bed sock across the whole bed, so it would be about half the circumference of this, might be the right size. Just measure the child first to see if it will work. I had a lot of fun making this. I think this is going to be my new couch blanket, and I for sure will be sleeping in this. What do you think? Would you knit one of these? What other ridiculous things should I knit? Let me know in the comments, and I will see what I can do. It does remind me of the 7-foot sock that I knit a while back. I still wear that sometimes when I get really cold because it's like nice and comfy and warm. And so is this. I wound off 12 cakes of yarn for this, and I have 5 fully intact cakes left. So if you're making this on a bulky for an adult human, this particular one took about 7 cakes of loops and threads, soft classic. I want to say thank you to channel members who make videos like this possible. If you'd like to become a channel member and support this channel, you can click the join button down below. All channel members get early access to new videos, and channel members at the mid-tier and higher get access to members-only videos, which is like behind-the-scenes stuff and upcoming projects and projects that almost happened but didn't, and like health updates, which I've got another big one coming soon. I don't know when I'm going to put that up because it's also tied to a video that I haven't filmed yet, but you will know about it first if you are a channel member. So if that's your thing, go check it out. Thanks for watching. Happy knitting. So it does look like a sock. Okay, there's gotta be something in there. Oh my god, it's so warm in this.